It was a good win for us. We're pretty happy about that. I think we had to turn up our defense in the second half to get this thing done. And hats off to them.
As the regular season inches closer to the final week, things are starting to get exciting for Diane Richardson's squad.
3 games deep in their winning streak, and the women are rolling into March.
Yes, the women are playing some of their best basketball this season. I'm Brielle Batchelor, live from the Leah Core Center. Later on in the show, I'll take a look at one area that might be kickstarting Temple's 3-game win streak, and it was on display during their game against Wichita State.
And I'm Xavier Adams, live from the studio set. Also in the show, I'll give you a look at who's been the best this season from the American Conference on both the men's and women's side. I'll also take a look at some players that we need to keep our eyes on as the postseason tournament gets closer. Courts in Session is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to yet another week of Temple basketball on Courts in Session. 2 programs had very different results since we were last on the desk. I'm Gabriel Linington.
And I'm Pat Dallahan. It was a bleak week of men's basketball, but our biggest piece of news comes from a man who once had the top job for the men's team during better times. Last Thursday, former Temple men's head coach Fran Dunphy announced that this season will be his last, as he's ready to step down as the head man at LaSalle. Dunphy is Mr. Big Five. He's the Big Five's winningest coach. Overall, he's won 623 games during his time at Penn, Temple, and now LaSalle. He made the NCAA tournament 17 times, including 8 with the Owls. While his coaching career is over, Dunphy isn't ready to step away from the city or the sport where he found so much success.
And I think when we do more for others, then we have done good work. It's never about you. It's always about those people that are around you. Can you do more? And I'll be the first to stand up and say, yeah, I can. I need to. I want to. I want to be that person that never says no. I'm not very good at saying no, and I don't really want to be good at saying no. I want to be good at saying yes. How can I help? And that's to everybody.
Dunphy's old team could use some love. The Owls are free-falling in the AAC. Temple traveled to Birmingham, Alabama to face UAB over the weekend. Temple came into this game riding a 5-game losing streak. Here we go. The Owls are up against the Blazers on the road to stop the skid at the Bartow Arena. UAB hit first, scoring the first 5, but Temple hit back even harder as Zion Stanford gets the and one to spark a 9-1 run. Despite the run, UAB guard Tony wants to say hello as he gets the step-back triple to get to 9 points in just the first 6 minutes. 19-18 is again Stanford taking it down low with some contact for the bucket. Then Tony again, but this time feeling generous as he sends a sweet dime to Yaxel Lendenberg for a flush. 15-point game in the second, and Temple need to get going here as they get the contested corner 3 ball. Now in a 10-point game, Bradley Ezewiro says you're too little, grabs the offensive board, and second chance points were Temple's kryptonite this game. You think it stops there, Temple gets the steal, but that's not enough from Shane Dezzoni, and UAB capitalizes to bring the lead to 15 turnovers, offensive rebounds, and back cuts were the Achilles heel as Temple falls 80-64. Temple was at a big disadvantage, missing a pair of starting guards, Jamal Mashburn Jr. and Quante Berry, due to injury. With their absences, Stanford was the one to lead the way with 17 and a team-high 8 rebounds. Temple had 2 others in double figures with Steve Settle III and Shane Dezzoni, but UAB had a more well-rounded offense with 5 players in double figures, and star player Yaxel Lendenborg, who almost had a triple-double with 13, 11, and 8. The true disparity was second chance points. UAB had 26 compared to the Owls' 9 as Temple fall by 16.
But earlier in the week, we had some matinee hoops in Charlotte. And Steve Settle gets our scoring party started in the Queen City with this tough fadeaway. Not a whole lot you can do on defense there. 49ers up 3, Nick Graves flying up the court. And how about this circus finish? He converts through 2 Temple defenders on this horse shot. End of the first half, teamwork makes the dream work. Great ball movement, finds a wide open Matteo Piccarelli for the 3. Second half, Graves finds a wide open Jayshon Thomas, who cleans up after his own miss and finishes with the bump. You can count the bucket. Temple trails by 1. Settle speeds up the floor in a flash and makes another tough shot. This time, he gets bumped, battered, and hit. Doesn't matter. Owls jump in front. Later in the second, Niners down 1. The 7th-year senior, Robert Braswell, puts Charlotte back on top with his second 3 of the game. Free hoops in the Queen City. The Niners wasted no time as Thomas knocks down his second and final 3 of the ball game. It was one of 2 made field goals in overtime by Charlotte. Elijah Gray, playing in his home city, looking to put Temple back in the game with this made layup, but it wasn't enough. Temple drops another road game, 78-72. The AAC's 7th leading scorer, Nick Graves, filled it up for the Niners. He knocked down a game-high 3 triples en route to a team-high 23 points. Despite a huge 26-point performance from Zion Stanford, it was the perimeter defense that clipped the Owls' wings. This season, the Niners have only made 10 or more threes in a game 5 times, and 2 of them came against Temple, including last Wednesday, where Charlotte drilled 10. And for the second straight meeting, the Owls and 49ers needed extra basketball. There have been a combined 3 overtime periods in their last 2 battles this season.
It wasn't so long ago that this Temple team was undefeated and also had a win over a nationally ranked team. It's starting to feel like the idea of a tournament run was a fever dream. Most notably, an overtime loss to a Charlotte team that only has 3 conference wins this season.
This losing streak coincides with an injured Jamal Mashburn Jr. It's no secret that he was the engine that made the Owls roll. When Mash plays, Temple is 14-9 overall and 6-4 in the American Conference. But without him, it's a very different story. Temple now moves to 0-5 on the season without Mashburn, with all 5 of these losses coming in the last few weeks, a trend that can't continue if the Owls want to make a run. The top 4 continue to remain the same in the AAC. Memphis is still in the driver's seat, sitting in first place at 12-2. North Texas and UAB are tied for second, both 11-3 in league play, with 1 loss each coming to Memphis. Sitting at 9-5 and in 4th place are the Tulane Green Wave.
Down at number 5, Florida Atlantic at 8-6, and just under them we've got the ECU Pirates at 8-7. Wichita State isn't too far behind at 7-7. Then we have a tie at 8. South Florida and Temple both at 6-9. Remember when the Owls were fighting for first? I'm personally just tired with this team. We've seen them over and over again have success. Not necessarily on the road, but definitely at home against a ranked team at Memphis. And it's just discouraging. Obviously, you have the absence of Mashburn, and that creates a massive scoring hole. But does it come down to coaching?
The last 3 weeks, it's a type of tired that sleep can't fix. It's the same story over and over and over again. Rebounding, perimeter defense, no ball movement. It's the same exact story that we see every single game. But looking forward, maybe to next year, some players that we can look out for the future. For me, it's Aiden Tobiason. He's a pro body, a pro skill set, and a pro IQ. Look out for him next season.
Well, for me, it has to be Babatunde Duradola. I personally think he's my favorite freshman coming up player. But honestly, there aren't too many highlights to take away from the past couple of weeks. But there are many positives on the other side of Temple hoops.
When we return, we'll talk all things Temple women's hoop and take a look towards the AAC tournament back in '90. Welcome back. It was a quiet week on the women's front with only 1 game on the schedule at home against Wichita State. However, as the race for the final bye becomes tighter by the day, each game matters that much more for the Owls, and they're making the most of their opportunities. Owls looking to inch closer to that final bye. And the 3-ball was the Owls' friend all game long. They knocked down 9 threes on the day, the first of which came on the very first play from Terriana Gary. End of the first, shot clock and game clock running low. Owls need a bucket. Tiara East decides to do it herself. She knocks down this sidestep J as time expires. Second quarter, Shockers down 10. Taylor Jamison finds a wide open Princess Anderson for the lay. Terriana Gary was absolutely lights out from deep. She knocked down a ridiculous 7 threes on 7 of 10 shooting as she drills her second of the game, courtesy of Tristan Taylor. End of the third quarter, Owls up by 22. Princess Anderson reaches into her bag, wants to do it herself, and she finishes with the scoop layup at the rim. A pretty move. Late in the fourth, who else but Gary to put the game out of reach? A great pass from Anissa Rivera sets her up for the finish at the rim. And the Owls move the win streak to 3 in a row and cruise to an easy 19-point home W, 70-51. Despite the 21-point performance from Princess Anderson, the rest of the Shockers offense really struggled to get anything going. Of the 11 players who checked in for Wichita State, only 4 of them scored. As I've talked about a ton, Terriana Gary's performance is too good to ignore. Gary drilled 7 of Temple's 9 threes on the game. Temple's performance can be described as balanced. 10 different Owls checked in for Diane Richardson's squad, and 9 of them recorded baskets, nearly doubling the Shockers' 4 scorers.
It means a lot. Like, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I feel like we're on the track to possibly become champions. And as long as we keep the same energy, effort, teamwork, everything, like defense, everything collectively working as a whole, I feel like we can have a good chance in the tournament run.
Yeah, we understand that this is the thick of it. You know, going into the tournament, this is the thick of it where you get seeding. And we talk about energy. Like, you can't rest now. You can rest after the championship on your championship pillow. But right now, we have to have energy.
I'm not sure what stores sell those championship pillows, but I am sure that Owls are building momentum, and I am sure our beat reporter Brielle Batchelor has been following the Owls' recent success. She joins us live at the Liacouras Center. Hi, Brielle.
Gabriel, another at-home victory for the Owls. Guard Terriana Gary continues to lead the team in points, but it's not all about scoring. One area of success for Temple has come off the glass. The Temple women are nearing the end of their season, and the timing is just right as the Owls are playing some of their best basketball of the season. A lopsided 19-point win last week versus Wichita State was a prime example. Temple has won 3 straight. The Owls out-rebounded the Shockers 21-10 in the first half. This is the 3rd consecutive game Temple has out-rebounded its opponent in the first half.
If we could crash the boards and get the rebounds, and if they got the rebounds, we would prevent them from making second chance points.
After their win against Wichita State, the Temple women's basketball team sits at 4th in the American Conference with a 10-5 in conference play. Terriana Gary was the highest scorer in the game, with 25 points and 21 of those points coming from the 3-point range.
I knew I needed to shoot the ball because they were playing us in zone, so I was just ready to shoot, and shots just were falling.
Coach Richardson has stressed to her team that now is not the time to rest, and they must maintain their energy to make it through the final 3 games of the regular season and into the postseason tournament.
Can't rest now. You can rest after the championship on your championship pillow. But right now, we have to have energy.
The Owls sit in 4th place. This would mean 2 byes that take them right to the quarterfinals. The postseason tournament starts on March 8th. The Owls have 3 more games left coming up before the conference tournament. The first will be Tuesday night at 8 p.m. against Memphis, the second at home against Rice on Friday, and the third against Charlotte on March 4th during our spring break. It's a favorable schedule as all 3 of these teams sit well below 500 in conference play. I'm Brielle Batchelor reporting live from the Liacouras Center. Guys, back to you in the TV3 studio.
Thanks, Brielle. 3 wins, all in dominant fashion. UAB, Tulane, and Wichita State. The closest win, 10 points against UAB at home, 63-53. Must be something about those Diane Richardson halftime talks, because out of the locker room, this team gets dangerous. A 31-point third quarter against Wichita State and a 23-point third against Tulane. This is a nice change for Temple. If you remember, back in late January and early February, the Owls were having a tough time holding on to late leads. But let's take a look at where the 3-game win streak has taken the Owls in the standings. Sitting pretty in the top 4 with a 10-5 record in conference, but they need to keep the momentum going as Tulane is just 1 game behind them at 9-6. The 3 teams above the Owls have quite the win streaks. Number 3, North Texas is 12-3 in conference on a 4-game tear. Then above them are the Red Hot Bulls with a 9-game win streak. Then finally, at the number 1 spot at 14-1 are the Roadrunners, who have won their past 6. Our favorite time of the spring season is coming up. Tournament season. From March 8th to 12th, the women will be battling it out in the American Basketball Championship.
As seeding starts to become more clear, we're going to take a look at the current AAC tournament bracket.
So, if the season were to end today, this is how the bracket would look. Up top, we have the 9th versus 8th Rice versus Memphis, and the winner of that would go up against number 1 UTSA.
2 teams have the misfortune of a play-in. Number 12, Wichita State, and number 13, FAU. The winner would take on 5 seed Tulane, with 4 seed Temple awaiting the winner in the quarterfinals, looking to avenge last year's early exit.
Then number 10 Memphis would go head-to-head with UAB, with the winner moving on to South Florida.
And finally, number 11 Charlotte would open its conference tournament campaign against number 6 Tulsa. They're playing for the rights to take on number 3 seed North Texas, just a few miles up the road from its home base.
Now, so I'll start off with the predictions for the final matchup. Honestly, I don't see a team beating UTSA. They lead the conference defensively in almost every single stat. I think the Roadrunners are by far the favorites going into the tournament. But the other side is a bit harder to predict. I could see South Florida, I could see North Texas, but you know what? I'm going to go with the Owls from North Broad with maybe a bit of bias there.
Well, you talked about it at the beginning. There's not any doubt in this, Gabriel. It's UTSA. They have the most impactful and dominant player in the league in Jordan Jenkins, who's first in scoring, 4th in field goal percentage and free throw, 11th in rebounding, and 7th in blocks. I'll take the Roadrunners to win over North Texas in the AAC final in a Texas-style standoff with the spot in the NCAA tournament on the line. But more predictions now from our beat reporters. Hey, guys.
Thanks, guys. For the final matchup in the tournament, I'm going to lock in UTSA versus North Texas. The Roadrunners have all of the offensive firepower needed to get the job done, and they're already leading the conference defensively. North Texas should be a good matchup for UTSA. They lead the conference on the offensive side with the highest field goal percentage. Should these 2 teams face each other, I'd have to take UTSA squeaking this one out.
I am going to have to go with UTSA versus South Florida. South Florida has an impressive 9-game win streak, and they have only lost 2 of their 15 games in conference play. And with their star player, Sammy Puisis, who averages about 15 points per game, they do have a chance to defeat UTSA.
Okay, book it. Our picks are in, but we're up on our second break of the show. It's time for us to shine a light on some of last week's best from the Cherry and the White.
When we come back, it's all things highlights with our top 5. Don't go anywhere. We are back in 90.
The officials need to focus on playing. Good ball movement, finds a 3 in the corner, and it's good.
Welcome back. The men's and women's teams have been on completely different tracks this past week, but they do have one thing in common.
That, of course, is highlight plays. Once again, Gabriel and I are back with our top 5 plays of the week from both programs.
So I'll be starting it off with number 5, Mr. Steven Settle III, blowing past his defender inside hand, inside lay to sneak that one. A sneaky move. I just want to see him use his speed more. He's 6'10", moving that fast down, catching the ball at half court. That's just too easy.
And at number 4, it's an Amaya Oliver and 1. The assist from Tristan Taylor, but look at the strength from Oliver to finish through the contact. That is a really high difficulty shot to stay focused and keep your body in control to finish. Arms all over, count it, and the bucket. That's play number 4.
great play, and now we're going to see another one down low in the restricted zone, and this is where Zion Stanford thrives. He just thrives in and around that restricted zone as he gets the contact extendo lay with his right hand, and to have the body control to stay upright after bumping into his defender and getting it off the glass. Just a great move and a nice bucket.
Well, number 2, teamwork makes the dream work. How about a rare appearance from Matteo Piccarelli? 3 different Owls touch the ball here on this corner 3. That's way too much space from the Italian Stallion, who we really haven't heard a lot from this season, although he's a producer favorite here at Owl Sports Update.
Oh yeah, fans say that he needs more playing time on the court. Now, number 1 is going to be Tiara East shake and bake at the buzzer beater. You don't see it too often to end the quarter, and given her way too much space, she puts her right shoulder into the defender, gets down low, and it's just a great play. But that is it for our stat lines of the week. We hope that there's going to be plenty more to come, and of course there is, with plenty more hoops.
When we come back, we'll shift our focus away from Temple and on to the rest of the American Conference.
Yeah, guys, don't touch that dial. When we come back, I'll break down the best players this season out of the American Conference, as well as some players that you're going to want to keep your eye on come time for this tournament. Courts in Session is back in 90. Welcome back. The AAC has been a roller coaster this year, and as the regular season comes to a close, we finally have a clear picture of the stars in the conference. On the men's side of the ball, we're first taking a look at Memphis guard P.J. Haggerty. Haggerty is ranked 6th in the nation offensively and is averaging 21 points on the season. He's also leading the Tigers in assists and steals this season, averaging 4 assists and 2 steals. The Tigers are currently ranked 22nd in the nation and are poised to do a lot of damage in the American Conference tournament. It's safe to say the redshirt sophomore is a big piece of the puzzle in that locker room. On the women's side, we're looking at UTSA's Jordan Jenkins. The forward has been a force to be reckoned with this season and is leading her team in points, rebounds, and blocks. She's averaging almost 19 points and 7 boards a game, and a block as well, proving her legitimacy as the face of this dangerous UTSA team.
Well, thanks for coming onto the desk, Xavier. We don't see you here too often, but let's talk about impact players in these 2 tournaments for the men's and women's side. And now, personally, you were talking about PJ Haggerty. I can't see anybody having more of an impact than him. He's the lead guy on a ranked team, the only ranked team in the American, and he's just been playing out of his mind. Now, on the women's side, Jordan Jenkins, like you were saying, UTSA, they've only lost 1 game in conference. That's just ridiculous. You don't see that too many times, you know? And just her being able to lead that 18 points per game, she's been doing a spectacular job.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm going to have to look at UAB's Yaxel Lendenborg for the men. And for North Texas, I'm going to have to look at Tamisha Lampkin for the women. It sounds crazy to say, but Yaxel Lendenborg for UAB is leading his team in every major statistical category. He's leading his team in points, rebounds, steals, assists, and blocks. And it's, he's clearly just a force to be reckoned with when it comes to that side of the ball. And then Tamisha Lampkin, she's also going insane this season. She isn't getting enough praise. She's averaging 17 points and 10 rebounds on the year and has her North Texas team sitting at the top of her conference.
Well, that is all we have time for today. We won't be back on the desk until the Tuesday after spring break. But if you miss us that badly, you can find us on all socials at Owl Sports Update for all things Temple Athletics.
From everyone in the Courts in Session crew, I'm Gabriel Linington and he's Pat Dallahan. Thank you and see you in a couple weeks.